Welcome to today's tutorial where I will be showing you how to create these adorable Peter Rabbit and Friends softies. We've got Peter Rabbit, his sisters Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, as well as Benjamin Bunny. They're so cute, and you can just make them out of one of our Peter Rabbit panels. Now, Riley Blake Designs is the official license of Peter Rabbit, and it has been our pleasure to bring the imagery of Beatrix Potter to fabric. Here's a little sampling of what it looks like. We've got these dusty blues into these corally pinks, and it works well for girls and boys. So I'm going to put this fabric to the side, and we'll put these little softies that have already been made to the side. I did want to highlight the beautiful panel quilt I have behind me. That's also going to be available as a quilt kit. And I love the pieced book blocks that surround the Peter Rabbit panel. So there's two panels in this collection. One's that panel behind me, and the second panel is this softie panel. And it's really easy to create these adorable softies. All you need to do is cut them out a 1/4 inch from the line. There's instructions on here, very simple. It's a great mother-daughter project or mother-child project, or as well as a grandparent-child project. So what I'm going to do is cut out each of these images. We've got the front and back. The names are all next to them. And this is going to be your sew line. Now you're going to sew slightly inside so you don't see the line, but you want to cut out a 1/4 inch from that line. So let's get started in cutting out these fun images from Peter Rabbit. I just have always loved Peter Rabbit, and it's been such a fun thing to have this license. So you're just gonna eyeball about a 1/4 inch, and you're just gonna cut out all the images, the front and back of each one of these characters. So I'm gonna get these all cut out, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I'm giving these a good press, and I've got them all ready to go. I did want to highlight just something else you could do with these pieces. If you didn't want to make softies, you can make them as applique pieces to a quilt. You could get a 5-inch or 10-inch stacker, sew it all together, and then applique these darling images on top of the quilt. And how you do that was that interfacing. You sew the interfacing right sides together, and then you make a mark in the center and turn it right side out, and it's ready to be appliqued or anything else you'd like. So that's an alternative way to use the panel. But we are making softies today. So you're gonna take all these cute images, and there is a front and back, and you put them right sides together. They're the same image, just mirrored. And so we're gonna put those all together. Now you wanna be careful to line the dotted brown line around it. Really try and be as accurate as possible. You can even lift it up and see the dots between, and just make sure you line those up really well. And so I usually put a pin in 2 places. I just lift that up. And they say the dotted line, the instructions say the dotted line is your sew line. But since it's so dark and you don't want to see that in your seam, you are going to sew just inside of that line. And I usually adjust my stitch length to a 2.0 when I'm making these softies. Just gonna line that up. Again, I can see the light through that. But for time purposes, I'm just gonna choose one of these images to sew on camera. How about we do Cottontail? Cottontail has her little hands to her chest. She's so sweet and so cute. So I'm gonna line this up just like that. And then I'm going to sew around like I mentioned before. My stitch length is 2.0 and I'm just sewing right inside that brown dotted line. And you'll notice at the bottom that there is a gap, and that's where you start and stop your stitches so you can turn it right side out. I'm going to put on my glasses right now, and then just slowly take your time, going very slow, and you just want to ease around those curves, because if you do pivots, you're going to have a little pointy edge. So what you want to do is just go nice and slow around that dotted line. Okay, I'm going to reinforce my stop so when I pull it out it doesn't pop my stitches. All right, let's take this back here, take our pins out, and now we're going to clip our curves. So you could trim down to 1/8 of an inch, which might be helpful to trim a little bit more, but you don't want to trim too much, because if you're stuffing it, you don't want those seams to pop out. So all your curves you want to just clip around. You're clipping close to your threads, but not too close, and that helps when you start stuffing. If you've got some tight curves, you're going to bring those clips a little closer together. Most of them are about, I don't know, about 1 centimeter or so apart. And we are almost done. Very good. Okay, so now if you have hemostats, these are so handy. You can grab, these are good for doll making and little softies. You can reach inside and grab the end and gently pull and turn it right side out. A surgical tool is a great sewing tool, right? So we're flipping that right side out, and you can grab a stiletto or a turning tool. You're just going to kind of ease around your curves, popping out that seam. And then I think I'll just give it a nice little light press. Kind of see how that, a little bit, just to get some of those wrinkles out. All right, now our little cottontail is ready to be stuffed. You need to grab your polyfill, and it always surprises me how much I use. So make sure you have plenty of polyfill, and you just start stuffing. Now, hemostats are nice to stuff. I've also used like those round, really short stack paintbrushes. Those are really good to stuff in all this polyfill. Whatever works, you're just gonna put, like I said, more than you think. And sometimes I just start, I open up my hemostats and I just kind of grab little chunks of that polyfill and fill in the corners. And it seems like over time, it just deflates a little bit. So stuff it more than you think you want, because they do, you know, they kind of get pushed down, all this polyfill. So kind of overstuff your little softie. Okay, almost done. when you get it where you feel like it's good and stuffed, then you're just going to sew your opening shut with a whip stitch. I've already got a needle loaded here with some coordinating thread. We're just gonna put your end inside there, and let's just whip stitch that closed. Okay, so I'm just finishing up here. I'm gonna knot it a couple times. Oh, my little thread's sticking out there. Now let me just tuck my thread down inside. We'll just pop it out here. And now our cottontail softie is finished. Just repeat that 4 times and you have a family of Peter Rabbit softies. Thanks for joining me today on making this fun tutorial.